on and off the field, I really cross off all the boxes. I mean, you look at on the field, the physical ability is there. They're rushing the passer is there, stopping the run is there. But the most important part for me is you look, off the field. You look at, I think what I did and what me and all the leaders did with this Michigan team this past year was something that not many people could do.
Welcome in to Afternoon Live here on the Maize and Blue Review. That was Aidan Hutchinson on his own podcast, the Hutch Pod, talking about what he brings to the table, and he'll find out what city he's going to be bringing his talents to tonight as we kick this one off on the day of the NFL Draft. And Afternoon Live, we're part of the Maize and Blue Review, the weekdays at 1 o'clock. Involved with Rivals.com. We talk about the latest and what's going on in Michigan sports. And Aidan Hutchinson finding out when his name's going to be called tonight. That's on a lot of people's minds. And here to talk a little bit about the draft and Michigan football and basketball, as always, on a Thursday, is former Wolverine Jim Scarcelli. Scar, good to see you. What's going on?
Hey, life is good, man. Just listening to Hutchinson talk, and it seems like that's what these guys have to do is they have to be self-promoters. It's kind of like that's the narrative the last few years with, these draft picks. But I got to believe deep down his DNA, he's just not that kind of guy to be a self-promoter. You know what I mean? The Michigan DNA is to talk about team, to talk about your teammates and your coaches. But I get it. He has to do it for the draft. It's what they had to do. But I think deep down, his DNA is all about team.
Well, he was asked specifically what teams are getting and what he brings to the table. And if I played it, it was like a minute and a half long. I cut it. And I don't think I really did him justice because right after that, he did talk about the team concept and fitting in and everything else. So he does talk a little bit like he's promoting himself. Right after that, he says, at the same time, it was all about all of us, coming together. So in his defense, but you're right. I mean, they're asked. He'll be asked whatever team takes him tonight, what he's going to bring, how soon that he can be an impact. And, he said in that soundbite we played, but the one that we didn't get all of, maybe I should play all of it, how he's not going to be so vocal in his first year. He's going to check out the scenery and see what happens,
Hey, he got better every year. And that's the thing about, what you want your players to do. That guy got better every year. He got better, stronger, smarter. His technique got better because I watched him really closely. And hopefully we'll see that from Mike Morris. We'll see it from, Taylor Upshaw, where those guys are just, take their game to a next level. But, I'm hoping for good things tonight for the Wolverines, that we get drafted early and all those things help recruiting.
Well, we'll talk about that. And anything else before we dive into the NFL here? A lot of different spring games going on. We talked all about Michigan's. Have you watched any of the other spring games out there, Scar?
Yeah, I've taken a look at most of them, which is great. The Big Ten Network covers all of it. And I'll tell you a team that I think is going to be really improved is Illinois. Brett Bielema, he's building that team in the old Wisconsin DNA mentality. They're all thicker. They got the training table people straightened out over there. They're gonna beat Wisconsin or Iowa this year. You watch. You heard it here first. Okay. Illinois is a bigger, thicker team. They only got one quarterback now because the other kid is not very good. That Sitkowski kid. I don't think they can win with him. But the guy they got, this DeVito kid. Watch. Illinois is going to be an improved team. I looked at Michigan State. I looked at Ohio State. I've got some thoughts on them. Maybe we can get into that next week.
That sounds good. And for people that don't know, Illinois is on Michigan's schedule this year. So very timely you talking about the Fighting Illini. And, so a week from today, we'll go over Illinois, what you saw up in East Lansing and down in Columbus in their different spring games. But let's take you to tonight. And for the longest time, it looked like Aidan Hutchinson was going to be the number one pick, but the odds makers have the overwhelming favorite being the defensive end from Florida right now, Trayvon Walker. and with Hutchinson nestled in there at number 2, although last night, and if you've been following this, there have been some people jumping up and saying, no, the Lions are not going with Hutchinson. They're going with the defensive end out of Oregon, Kayvon Thibodeau. They're watching clips of Thibodeau talking about, how much he liked Dan Campbell, and then people evaluating what Hutchinson. One thing about Hutchinson is he did grow up in this area. I know and most people watching this know that his dad played at Michigan, but when he was, asked about the Lions, he wasn't like, oh my God, I grew up, I love the Honolulu blue and silver. He's like, Lions, he said he'd love to play for them, but there are a lot of Lion fans that didn't like that when you grow up in this area that they weren't jumping up and down about, him being a fan growing up.
Yeah, they got to be smart what they say. But one thing you recognize here, and Danny, I've read all the old books of all the old coaches. Bear Bryant used to say this. He said, your best football players got to be your defensive ends and your free safety. He said, your defensive ends and your free safety. Look who everybody's talking about going early. It's always those edge guys, those pass rush guys, the guys that got to contain, give pressure. They got to secure the flank. Every military general knows how important it is to secure the flanks. So ends, edge guys. That's why they're all fighting over them. They're all looking for that guy that can rush the quarterback.
Yeah, you want a guy that's able to set the edge and leverage the football. All of those things are important. And it was a different game back when Bear Bryant played, but it's still true. And now it's such a passing league and a passing game. You see the money that the wide receivers are getting. Well, what combats a quarterback and, makes him get that ball out of his hand the fastest? So a guy that's, coming screaming at you off the edge at, 6'5", 265, a speed rush edge, like a guy like Aidan Hutchinson. So, yeah, it's still true today.
Yeah, there's no question. And that's why everybody's looking for guys that can do that, man. Aaron Donald is the rare exception at an inside guy, a 3 technique that can rush the quarterback. It's hard to find those inside guys that can rush. But, yeah, that's why those guys get paid.
Well, we're live here at 1 o'clock. If you're listening to it afterwards, you can say, oh, yeah, things have changed. Or if you listen to it the next day, you say, you guys didn't know it was coming. But Adam Schefter last night said in 24 hours, Aidan Hutchinson is expected to become the second Michigan defensive player selected in the top 5 of the NFL draft. Pro Football Hall of Famer Charles Woodson was 4th overall in 98 from the Raiders. This morning, I put some odds up for the Lions in the second pick, and the overwhelming favorite to go 1, like I said, is Walker from Georgia to Jags, and Hutchinson was minus 150. But just before we joined up here at 1 o'clock, I looked back at that same betting site, and it's now Hutchinson's minus 200. So he's gaining momentum to be picked and come off the board number 2 here tonight.
Yeah, he's got to, hopefully, I don't know who's going to take him, but I think his skill set is perfect for certain teams and certain defenses. I don't know how he would be in a hand on the ground, every down edge guy. A team like Baltimore, but obviously they're too late. But it'll be interesting to see if the Lions take him, how they would utilize him with his scheme. But he does hit all the boxes. He's got the attitude, he's got the toughness to play run, and he can rush the quarterback. And he's gonna play and be mentally smart. But we'll see how it plays out. But if he could be, he looks like to me like the TJ Watt type of guy. That can maybe drop a little bit, but we'll see what these guys do with him.
Yeah, and the Lions have moved and morphed, more into a 3-4, so that would suit them as well. What about the rest of the Michigan players after Hutchinson? Daxton Hill, his name could be called early. You mentioned the Ravens. We have the draft order up on the screen. I see a lot of mock drafters have the Ravens selecting Dax Hill as high as 14 is over and under 28.5. So he is projected to go in the first half. Of course, the Lions, they have another first-round pick, the Rams at 32, and they need a safety. So Daxton Hill, as much as we're talking about Michigan, The Lions there at number 2 and 32. They could walk away tonight with Aidan Hutchinson and Daxton Hill on the back, and I think Lion fans will be happy. Maybe not Lions / Spartan fans, but you have to embrace the guys if they get picked.
Yeah. Dax Hill is definitely, you're getting a fast, athletic, tough, great attitude guy that can, he has the speed. He could play some corner. He could play safety. That's why they like him. He's fast. He's athletic. Ajabo is a guy that hasn't played much football, but he's got all the measurables. He'll get better at playing run. And you can't teach the speed he has to rush the quarterback. That's why he's such a high pick. And he'll do nothing but get better. Hinton is going to be maybe he can be like a big Monet, the kid out in Seattle, the Michigan guy that was a big nose guard. He was average at Michigan, but he got on with the right team. Hinton's got to get with the right team. And someone's got to, find him and like him, and he's got to have some good preseason games. Same with Stubner and Haskins. He's got to get with the right team. Haskins has got to be good on special teams. A guy like that, and Michigan played him on special teams, which is good. He covered punts. Yeah, he was on maybe punt return. Vestardis, Rosh, those guys will be free agents, and they got to get with the right people. Vincent Gray, Donovan Jeter, Baldwin, all those guys will probably be free agents, and they've all got. There's probably one thing that they're lacking that the pro guys are looking at. Maybe not the speed, maybe not the height, maybe not whatever, but they got to get with the right people and have some great preseason games, and you never know what can happen. But Ross is going to have to be a special team guy. Vincent Gray, you got to play on special teams and be able to perform there for those kind of guys.
Let's go back to Hutchinson for a second here. Hutchinson on his Twitter page this week put his top 5 favorite plays while he was at Michigan. You might be able to guess which number 1 is, but let's go through some of these. Jim, you can talk about them as you
Stanley under pressure. Stanley dropped again. Cameron McGraw, first man, 2 of 8, sack of the day for the Wolverines.
It's completely miscommunication.
Well, that was the one against Iowa, right? And then we're zipping forward here to Penn State. And since Michigan's on the road, maybe they're in the top 5 plays this year. But here he is coming right up.
Here comes Hutchinson. He knocks the ball free.
Yeah, see, that's just him beating a guy without a stunt, without a scheme, with no help from anybody. And that's more impressive than the first one he showed in my eyes, because he's just beating the guy with just going. It's you and me and beating up with power and speed. That's a great player. I like that one more than the first one in terms of my evaluation from what I'm looking at.
Well, and the thing you like in strip sacks.
Yeah, plus you rip the ball out of there. It just shows everything. It shows strength. It shows speed. He knows where to. He ripped the ball out. Had the sense to know where to do that and then recover the ball. That's a huge play.
It back at the 35-yard line. 4-man rush. They still pressure Morris, and Hutchinson takes him down.
Yeah, that's just straight bull rush there, man. That's that shows the power. That shows the punch. You got to have the bull rush. You got to have the inside go. You got to have the outside go. You got to have a few moves in your arsenal, Danny. You can't just be a one-punch guy. And he's got it all. He can go left, right, straight ahead. And that's the power move right there.
All right. These are from this year so far.
So relentless. Jim just run right through Jackson Kirkland. Again, that's an all Pac-12 offensive tackle. Petrus in trouble. Petrus goes down.
You know what he did on this play here, Denny, is he beat the tackle outside, and then he beat the running back inside. So he beat 2 guys on that play, shows the speed and strength to beat the tackle, and then he had some niftiness to go and work a move around the back. So, yeah, that's a good-looking play right there. That's a big sack and a big game. Showed a lot of athletic ability and strength there.
Yeah, that was the Big Ten title game. And if you're out there, you don't have to have a great memory or anything else. You know that Michigan played fantastic against Ohio State. And Aidan Hutchinson played one of the great games against, it doesn't matter where you're at, what time frame in history or anything else. He played great against Ohio State, so it's not a surprise that he picked his favorite play came against the Buckeyes this year.
He'll roll up on you folks and let you smell his cologne. Stroud again on the play action fake. Steps up, sacked again. Aidan Hutchinson. That's his third.
That's just coming off the edge.
And now becomes Michigan's.
Danny, that's going against a pretty darn good offensive tackle, too. That kid was the first, he's projected to be a high pick. He's a big, monster, athletic kid. And Hutchinson beat him off the edge. But a lot of things Michigan does defensively, with all the scheme and all the different stunts, it always helps you as a defensive lineman when you do nothing. When you do a lot of stunning and the offensive linemen are always in conflict, it helps you out when you don't stunt. So that's why I like the things they're doing on defense. But he showed that he can beat you with a stunt or without.
Scar, when you talk about the Lions, you could tell. We know you played at Michigan, and then so you're a coach here in the state. You have a fondness for the maize and blue, and we appreciate that. You don't show your cards here when you talk about the Lions. Did you not grow up a Lions fan? Do you not appreciate what's going on with the Honolulu blue and silver? What about your pro allegiances?
Denny, I am a loyal to the grave Lions fan.
Oh, okay. All right.
No question. There's one game every Sunday I'm going to watch. I am going to watch the Lions, thick or thin. I'm there. It is what it is. But I also like watching the Baltimore Ravens. I know John Harbaugh. I like the Patriots. I like Bill Belichick. Of course, when Jim Harbaugh was coaching, wherever the hell he was in San Fran, I like them. There's certain teams I like, but I am a loyal Lions fan. I like watching pro football a lot more now than I did, like, say, 10 years ago, because you see you got like Arizona running the college stuff. You see different offenses. 10, 15 years ago, everybody was running the same stuff, and now you're seeing the Baltimore Ravens running the college. They're a creative offense, man. Their quarterback is running Kansas City. The pro game has taken a bunch of stuff from the college game. Those guys 10, 20 years ago when Rich Rod was running the spread said, "Oh, we'll never run that. We'll never run that in pro football. They're too fast. They're too big. They're too athletic. You can't do it." Well, they're doing it. Okay. Arizona's running it. Baltimore's running it. Kansas City's running it. A lot of people are running that college stuff. I like it because I get to see different schemes and, people are doing different things on defense. So, yeah, I really like the pro game now more than I did, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I like the game this year when the Patriots were taking on the Bills and the wind was blowing. And I think the Pats only ran the ball 2 times all game. Belichick's game plan. Well, we got some feedback. I see Antoine is filling it up here. Let me read. And if you're out there, you can always get if you're watching this live, go ahead, send some feedback to us, and we'll read it right here on the air. Antoine says, let's be real. The kitty cats haven't been good for years. What do you think Hutchinson was going to do? Cartwheels. That was to my point about him, not necessarily, loving the Detroit Lions. Why would the Lions draft a West Coast kid who's not used to the weather? He's undersized for the division, and his heart doesn't seem to be with football. That's him talking about Kayvon Thibodeau. Well, he did go to Oregon, but, the Lions do play indoors. So, true enough, they got to go to Soldier Field, and they have to go to Lambeau 2 times a year, Lambeau and also go to Chicago. Black and blue division, you must have strength and power. Hutch has not only that, but he's a leader. These kitty cats sure need one. The Lions need every Michigan player they could get. But would it be just like the Lions to pick some other player, mess things up? They usually will look for the diamond in the rough rather than picking up the damn diamond. That's from Antoine, who now I'm going to say he doesn't sound like a Lions fan either.
Yeah, the kitty cats aren't getting it done as far as Antoine goes. But hey, let's let's let Brett Holmes do his magic. He built the program in LA. He found some gems down there. Let's see what he comes up with. Let's give the guy a chance. But I do like his thoughts about taking Michigan guys, because I think Michigan guys are there's a lot of pro teams really like Michigan guys. I know Kansas City loves them. Andy Reid said he'll take a Michigan guy all day long. It's obvious Belichick loves him. He's drafted a lot of Michigan guys. He knows he's getting team guys. He knows he's getting guys that have been pounded with the concept of team. So there's certain, Michigan is definitely prepares you for the NFL.
Yeah, well, Thibodeau, he is somebody that people have known about for years, number one player in his class all the way through. I mean, he was pegged to be the number one pick all along. But just like you could knock Aidan Hutchinson a little bit if you want to talk about, arm length or whatever else. But when you're comparing the two players, it's easy to say that the Lions, I mean, look at you're picking between the either, Trayvon Walker, Aidan Hutchinson, and Thibodeau. All these guys look great. I mean, that's why they're all up there towards the top. But the one thing about Hutchinson is he has proven it on the field. You've got endless tape of him. Now, Hutchinson got hurt when he fractured his ankle last year in that Indiana game, but he came back and he put together a hell of a season. And like you were talking about with the different moves and everything, he's not just relying on one thing. I have heard the knock on him, like, well, hey, he in the game against Georgia or Michigan State ran all over him. You go through Chase Young, who's been really good for the Commanders of the Washington football team. He disappeared against Michigan, and he was neutralized in the college football semifinal. So, there's going to be a little knocks on every guy, everything that I look at. And, I try to be fair about it. If the Lions take Thibodeau tonight, they have also been able to sit there in meeting rooms and one-on-one and being able to look these guys in the eye. And if you and I had repeated talks with Kayvon Thibodeau, maybe we would like him a little bit more. Sometimes it comes down to that, just with your overall, meetings and impression and the tapes when everything is close. If it's that close, you do have the guy that plays right down the road. You think that would work in his favor here too. But, I don't think the Lions could go wrong. I would pick Hutchinson myself.
Yeah, I don't know which guy they feel is better in their scheme, but you said it all there, Denny. We haven't sat down with these guys. We haven't watched as much film. We don't know all their history, their injuries. We don't know what kind of training issues they've had in the training room. Are they playing with pain? Are they playing with? We don't know all those things. And
we don't have a whole hell of a lot of tape from Thibodeau because he sat out, most of this year. So that's the one thing. And the thing for guys like us, I think we have watched all of Hutchinson's snaps. We do have that. So you watch a guy like that and you see the success on the field and him being a local guy. I think that's why.
Yeah, you wonder if they think he's maxed out, compared to a guy who hasn't played as much. Is the Oregon guy, does he have a higher ceiling? Does he have more room for improvement? I don't know what they think, but those are things you have to evaluate. Because I know as college coaches, there's certain schools. I remember them saying that, look, there's certain high schools that they know those kids have been really, really coached, and maybe they've reached a level a little higher than guys that haven't been coached. So some of that same mentality goes into pro coaches, teams evaluating college athletes.
Well, you're right. Some of that unknown and potential and ceiling, there are some scouts and some GMs that like that a little bit better than or value it more than, what you have seen on tape and things that are proven. All right. You mentioned that you like watching the Ravens with John Harbaugh when Jim was coach at the 49ers. I was just going through the list of the NFL teams today, and I noticed that there's quite a few Michigan. You probably won't be surprised, Scar, but there's a lot of former Michigan coaches and players. I went AFC and NFC. I want you, as we take a look at it, I know you liked Mike McDonald when he came in, and he is now the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. So you'll still like watching the Ravens. Jordan Kovacs, I root for him. I can see an up arrow, him staying and being a lifelong NFL coach, and he is just getting started. So maybe he'll rise to the level of defensive coordinator, heck, maybe even head coach at one time. Mike Mallory, that's somebody, anytime you get the name Mallory and Michigan, I'm guessing that you're going to be able to say something about Mike Mallory, who's the assistant special teams coach with the Broncos.
Yeah, Danny, I got a connection with a lot of those guys. Mike McDonald, I liked them bringing Mike McDonald here just because I liked the scheme. I never met him, but I like that scheme they had there. He's a great coach. He'll do well as a leader now again with them. Jordan Kovacs, I played with his dad, Lou, who was a great player at Michigan, team guy, great attitude guy, and his kid was the same kind of guy. And I've watched him now. He's been in coaching, and he's going to be great. He's a smart kid. Anyway, he'll be great. Terrell Austin, I remember him when he was at Michigan. I worked the camp with him. He was with the Lions. He was the defensive coordinator, I think, under.
That's right.
Under the last guy we had that won under what's his name?
Caldwell Schwartz.
Caldwell, yeah. So Terrell Austin's good man, good coach. He coached the secondary at Michigan. I never met Pep, but he was with Harbaugh forever. He's a good coach. Cato June was a good linebacker for us. Was he he was a linebacker or safety?
Safety.
Yeah, he was a safety, and he's moved up quick. He had a good little career in the pros. I remember Tyrone Wheatley when he was in high school. He played against my brother's team. Unbelievable athlete. I watched him play in high school. Then I obviously watched him and got to know him. He came to our school and recruited some of our kids. And he's a great guy. And Mike Mallory is a teammate of mine. We came in together. Mike has been in coaching for, since we got out in 1985. I think Mike Mallory has been to about 15 different cities since 1985. He's been all over, college, pro. All them Mallorys are great coaches. I saw my buddy Doug, his brother Doug, a couple weeks back. Kurt is the head coach at Indiana State. And Mike has done well. They come from that bloodline. Kevin Koger was a good tight end. I think Rich Rod brought him in, and he's done well. He's done a good job. He's up for a coordinator job. I keep hearing his name. So, I look at all those guys. I watch them. Michigan guys are always cheering for other Michigan guys because I think our program really prepares guys for, the NFL and then to be good coaches.
Yeah, I loved it that it worked out for Tyrone Wheatley because he could have left as a junior. Back then, people would say it was hardship, guys, declaring for the pros. And most guys would, go pro if they thought they were going to get drafted. And Woodley would have been drafted really high, but he held a press conference. And everybody said, well, he's holding the press conference. He's gone. And he announced that he was coming back. So when guys do that, you root for him even more. And it worked out just fine for Wheatley. He had a long NFL career. But you mentioned him in high school. He's one of those guys. Not only was he a great football player, a lot of guys play. He was a great track star. I remember Alan Jefferson, who was also went to Michigan. I had a friend of mine who claims that he was in a 100-yard heat. Now, he didn't say that he beat Wheatley or Jefferson, but he at least ran in the finals against him. So he always talked about, what the kind of speed that Wheatley had. So, that's a nice list there. And those are just the players in the AFC. Scar, let's take you over to the NFC and see what your impressions are. These are former Michigan coaches and players currently in the NFC.
Doug Nussmeier was at Michigan. I don't want to, but I think one of Brady Hoke's biggest downfalls, I don't think he surrounded himself with great assistants. Doug Nussmeier was at Michigan. I'm going to leave it at that. Aubrey Pleasant, he played for the Wolverines. He was a DB with the Wolverines, right?
I don't think he played. He coached. He was.
He coached. That's right. He coached.
Coached. He's from Flint, though. So he's from this.
That's right. That's right.
From Flint, and I think he was a secondary coach.
Yeah, I didn't know him. Adam Stenovich, I remember watching him as a player, and the kid paid his dues, man. He was a GA at Michigan. He was out at San Jose State, and he's just kept grinding and working, and he's made a name for himself. And Harold Goodwin, I remember him when he was playing, and he's done nothing but good things. You keep hearing his name as a potential head coach. He was with. He was down in Arizona with the same coach that took him to Tampa Bay, and Larry Foote's been with. He was a great player, and out of Detroit Pershing, boy, Larry Foote he played a lot of pro football. He was with the Steelers. He was with the down in Arizona coaching, and now he's a name that he's going to be the coordinator, pass game coordinator. He's a guy that could be a head coach real soon in the NFL because he's got the passion. I remember I've met him. He's a passionate guy about Michigan. And now Greasy, what I like about Greasy is now Greasy. So when the 49ers aren't worth a damn, the quarterbacks are making mistakes. Now somebody hopefully will rip Brian Greasy. Okay, I want someone to rip Brian Greasy about quarterback play at the 49ers the way he ripped our coach back in the day. So let's see, Greasy. Let's see what you can do as a coach.
Oh, okay. I see when they put up he put up the tweet, enough is enough kind of thing. All right. I remember that. I know Greasy, he was in the Monday Night Football booth, but the Mannings were getting so much love of doing a dual cast against them. Those guys were like, hey, if I could go find and do something else, I'll do it. Larry Foote's name came up a lot when Michigan was looking for a defensive coordinator this past year. And obviously he stayed in the NFL, and Michigan went to Vanderbilt to get Jesse Minter. Trevor asking the question, why didn't Jeter, Hayes, or Gray or Vastardis just stay home? They more than likely won't be drafted, but they would have made more money at Michigan, and now they're going to have to get regular jobs.
Well, let's give them a chance. Let's not just assume they're going to get cut. I mean, they are probably going to be free agents, and you'd be surprised. There's a lot of free agents that get, people like them. They got to get with the right team and hope somebody finds them. But you make a good point about the NIL has changed a lot of things for a lot of these guys. And I don't think Vastardis had any more eligibility. I'm not sure about some of those other guys, but they got to make a decision what they want to do. And I'm just cheering for them. Hopefully they get with the right people and they impress somebody and they get the stick as a free agent.
Yeah, I think you're right about Vastardis. Jeter had to make a decision. It looked like for a second he was going to hang around, but sometimes you get guys you don't know the reasons. School, all kinds of different things, and in reasons. And there is NIL money, but for defensive backs and defensive tackles, I don't know if the money's free flowing for those guys that are coming back.
Yeah. Hey, Danny, I want to just briefly touch on some things I thought that playing at Michigan, how it really prepares these guys, maybe a little more than some other schools. I mean, I think offensively, if you're a player at Michigan, I think offensively, the offensive line, we run the power stuff. We run the zone. I think that's good because a lot of pro teams run those things. There's some that, and a lot of colleges don't run all the stuff we do on offense. So I think it helps our offensive line. I think when you get a Michigan receiver, he's going to block. I think that's a good thing for Michigan that Harbaugh demands. Our tight ends are not going to be imposters. They're going to be blockers, and you can spread them out. You can have them block at the line of scrimmage. Our running backs are going to catch the ball out of the backfield. The tough demands of the academics and how the competitiveness at Michigan, I think it's going to help you. When I was with the Raiders as a free agent, I was a defensive player, and it really helped me having played at Michigan with all the mental demands, with the different schemes we would put in every Monday, and have to comprehend all that and then perform it. And because I knew there were other guys that were, I didn't make the team, but there were other guys that had trouble with some of that stuff. But I think defensively too, I think our scheme defensively, Denny, helps our guys because it's multiple. We run so many different things that the pros are going to get a real good look at, man coverage, zone coverage. They can really evaluate their mental ability to adjust and dissect things because we run so many different things. And but iron sharpens iron. You come to Michigan, you watch practice. These guys are going to get better. And I just think that playing at Michigan is a little edge because of what, we do so many different things on defense. We do different things on offense. Our guys are getting to get the opportunity to see what they get the opportunity to show the pros that they can do all this stuff.
Who was out there at the Raiders when you were out there? Was Tom Flores or is it Marcus Allen, the coach, or the running back?
Tom Flores was the head coach. What a great guy. Matt Millen was there. He was the linebacker. I was with the inside-outside linebackers, and Jim Plunkett was the quarterback. What a great guy he was. And Cliff Branch, I think he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Art Shell was the offensive line coach. Danny, playing in the, I didn't make the team, had a nagging injury that I dealt with at Michigan, and it kept me from really doing a good job, I think, even in the NFL, but that's whatever. Howie Long was the guy that really stood out to me. Most of the guys I played against in my time with the NFL, I had seen that kind of talent at Michigan, Kurt Becker, Ed Moransky, Jumbo Elliott, and just good players we had at Michigan. But the one guy that really stood out to me was Howie Long. He was in a different world where, just from a toughness, athletic ability, standpoint, he was something special. But yeah, Art Shell was the offensive line coach. I just remember talking to these guys a little bit, and it was interesting to see him then be the first black, NFL head coach. And I actually met Al Davis, but yeah, the free agent deal, after the draft, that's when my phone started ringing. It was right after the draft ended. I had 4 phone calls that night with, 4 different offers, and asking that some of these guys would be in those same positions. They're going to offer you a certain amount of money to be a free agent. Some will offer more, some will offer less. And then you got to decide which team you think based on that conversation. And you're looking at the roster and, who did they draft? What might give you the best opportunity to make the team? I ended up picking the Raiders because I thought it was the best opportunity for me, more so than some of the other teams.
Yeah, you could have been. It wasn't Rod Martin. He was like an outside linebacker too. He ended up being Super Bowl MVP. You could have been Rod Martin.
Yeah, I was in the same position group with him and Jack Squarick, and
They're loaded. Lester Hayes was gone. I think 30.
Yeah, Lester was gone. I didn't get to see Lester with all his stickum.
Yeah, he was one of my favorites, number 37 in the silver and black. Okay, let's I've got one other thing for you, wrapping it up here, Scar, and it goes to the world of basketball and Michigan basketball. They're looking at some transfers. I put Amani Bates on there. I don't know if they're really looking at Amani Bates. Amani Bates' name's popped up, but so that's why I put it up here. But Terrence Shannon visited reportedly Michigan last week, and this kid out of Princeton, Jalen Llewellyn, a 6'2" combo guard, he might be visiting right now. He was in Ann Arbor yesterday. I think he's still here in Washtenaw County. So some possibilities. Would you, just thinking about what you look positionally there, what Michigan would look for if they could add one or two of these guys, you have any interest in Shannon Jr. Llewellyn or Amani Bates?
I think what Michigan needs more than anything is we have to have another guard that can make a three-point shot. Look, we know Frankie Collins can take it to the hole as good as anybody. He's going to defend. But if we're going to go into next year counting on him to stretch the defense, we're crazy. So we need another guard that can stretch the floor, make people defend the three-point line. That would be a bigger priority to me. If I had my choice of any of these guys, I would give me a guard like Sam Sessions. This kid, I'm sure he can shoot the ball. But, we're going to count on Terrence to be to stretch the floor. Hopefully Terrence Williams will be a guy that we can count on. But this Terrence Shannon, I've seen him play. He's a guy that can take it to the hole. He's an athlete. He can shoot the three ball. And of course, Imani Bates will have a much better year wherever he goes. He's going to have a good year. I believe that. I think the kid's going to get in the right situation. I actually went to school with his aunt. Kid comes from a good family. He's going to get it together. If Michigan's in the mix on him, I'd love to see Michigan be in the mix on him because I think he's going to have a good year this year. I think he's going to grow up. He learned at Memphis, and he's got to get a little thicker though. The kid hasn't gotten. I thought he'd be a little thicker, a little better job in the weight room in the diet. But I'll take any of those guys. But we need guys that can shoot. We got to help Hunter out so he can kick it out to somebody that can knock down a shot.
Yeah, I think Llewellyn, who can help out at point, out of these three, Shannon's an incredible athlete, and Bates probably get the highest ceiling when you think about, at one time, like last year at this time, some were calling him the best prospect coming out of last year's class, and I've known about him since he's been 13, and that is a lot of pressure when everybody, you have a pop-up school that your dad runs and you're playing there and everybody's calling you the next LeBron James. That is a lot of pressure. And then it didn't work out at Memphis for him. So the thing, if he comes to Michigan, I think what Michigan fans, and they're all, you hear things like, me guy, selfish, cancer, dad, too overpowering dad. But if he's coming to Michigan, he's not coming in for, name, image, and likeness. Michigan's not putting money up front like that. So he's not coming in for the biggest payday. And so you would think that he's coming in to try to fit into a team concept and get it right. So I wouldn't look the other way at Bates, but the majority of Michigan fans that I have come across, Scar, are saying thanks, but no thanks when it comes to Amani Bates.
No, I understand it. If you based on what we saw at Memphis, but I just, the kid has got something's got to. Some people need to be smacked in the head to change their their thoughts, and I just think he's gonna get it right. I hope he does. I hope he gets it right wherever he goes. That he says, you know what, let's pass the ball, let's defend, let's not force shots, and let's get a little stronger. Someone got to do a better job in the weight room with him. What's Antoine say? Not just a regular point guard, but an old school general point guard to set plays up. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Antoine. We need a point guard that can distribute, but make shots, distribute, secure the ball. We've had plenty.
Okay. Somebody wanting to, do you like soccer, Scar? Somebody coming in with a soccer take. There you
go. If I'm like at the airport and there's nothing on, I'll take soccer over some other options. Okay, I would. I actually, it's more appealing. The more I started watching, I was in Europe years ago during the World Cup in France, and I was in Italy during the World Cup. And boy, I just started to appreciate it a little more. And there's some good athletes, and all over the world I've been to Africa and different countries where that's all they play, man, is soccer,
football.
They call it football. Yeah, no, this is football. Your stuff is something else. That's what they call it. They love it. But yeah, I'll take it. I'll watch a little bit if I'm boxed in.
Well, I will watch 3 straight days of draft, and I'll watch some baseball, and I'll watch some NBA playoffs. That's what's on my dance card for the next 3 days. So how about that?
Oh, I love it, man. I like watching the draft. I like listening to Mel. I disagree with these people that think they know what the Lions or what a team needs more than what their coaches and their people know. You know what I mean? Having been a coach, it's like somebody telling me they know what I need more than, I just try to evaluate the players, get the best guy to fit your system. But yeah, I like listening to Mel because Mel talks to the general managers. You can tell his information is good. I just listened to him earlier. He was talking about the quarterbacks. He said the words he's hearing from the general managers about the quarterbacks is there's nothing inspiring. I think that was the word. Nothing overly inspiring. So just kind of, but Mel is piped in, so I like listening to him, and it's it's good stuff, man. They get to break down the players, and I like listening to it. Hopefully the Lions will get the right guy that fits our system and something we can hang our hat on for a while, a foundational player.
Well, they might go Mays at number 2, and they might go Blue at 32 in Dax Hill, Hutchinson and Hill, Mays and Blue. So it could be a Mays and Blue night for the Honolulu Blue and Silver. All right, Scar, coming up this Thursday, we will look at how the other teams performed and what caught your eye around the Big Ten in spring football. How about that?
Sounds good. Denny, I just looked at Michigan's website. They got the high school camp coming up June 16th and June 23rd. It's only 1-day camps now. It used to be a whole week. I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's a good little camp. But they do it a lot different now than when I was coming up. They used to have the best camp in the country, had over 3,000 kids. Now it's just a one-day camp, but there's a lot of high school kids that still go.
You still got some 3/4 zips and some whistles around there, Scar? Maybe you can go down there.
Yeah, those were good times. All them coaches you mentioned, I met a lot of them at the camp, and I remember working with Minter's dad. You know, I worked with a lot of those guys. I got to meet a lot of real good coaches at that camp, and it's kind of sad for me that it's not as big as it used to be, where all them coaches came, high school, college coaches came from all over to work. The Michigan camp was the #1 camp in the country.
Where are your whistles at?
Oh, man, I just yell. I didn't use the whistle a lot. I used to just yell.
You just need
I just used to bark a lot.
Okay, I like it. All right, enjoy the draft. Great job today. Can't wait to talk to you again next week.
All right, Denny, go blue.